People who don't sew or quilt may think of this as a solitary event. Not so much. Think about a quilting bee, a sewing organization, a guild, and now we're at the biggest community of sewing and quilting at the Sewing and Stitchery Expo, just south or in the area of Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. It's the Sewing and Stitchery Expo, and there are nearly 27,000 people here during the 4-day event. It brings together pattern designers, fabric designers, people who take classes, people who teach classes. And that's what we're going to do on this Sewing with Nancy program, stitching together a sewing community. Next on Sewing with Nancy.
Sewing with Nancy, TV's longest-airing sewing and quilting program with Nancy Zieman, is made possible by Baby Lock, a complete line of sewing, quilting, and embroidery machines and sergers. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Madeira, specializing in embroidery, quilting, and special effect threads, because creativity is never black and white. Koala Studios, fine sewing furniture custom built in America. Clover, making a difference in sewing, quilting, crafting, and needle arts for over 30 years. Amazing designs and Class A needles.
An integral part of stitching together a sewing community is the pattern designer. Without the patterns, we can't do the sewing. And with me is renowned pattern designer Patty Palmer. Welcome to Sewing with Nancy once again.
Thank you, but I think I know who's really renowned here.
Not really,
but I feel good that you think so.
Yes,
Thank you.
That's right. Now, Patty, you have been designing patterns a long time. I've made them. I know our viewers have, and share with us how long you've been doing it.
Well, that's fine. I started with Vogue, and between Vogue and McCall's, it's been 38 years. And I'm only 39.
That's right. Well, good job. But the important part that we want to share with our viewers is that you come to the pattern designing part because of fit. You know sewing, and share how you go with the process of presenting a pattern to the company.
Okay. And I have to say, too, that I didn't start out knowing how to fit. That came from teaching and a lot of experience. But
sure.
That's how you do a pattern well, I think, just like you do.
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching and you're working with consumers. But one fun thing that happened to me recently is a lady from Idaho sent a picture, and she said, I want this 1947 dress, and I'm looking at it thinking, well, it's not hourglass, and I usually do hourglass, and you can probably see why. But it ended up, I showed it to McCall's, and it ended up being a pattern. And I thought, well, you know, if you're hourglass, you still have to fit issues. You may have a full bust, and you really need to make sure this fits because it's very fitted. So I thought this might attract a younger audience too.
And then you don't design or grade the pattern,
No.
but you write the instructions,
Yeah.
and that's important.
Yes. I started out asking to write instructions because I wanted to put tips in it, and then we eventually added fit to the patterns as well. And so there's fit instructions in the guide sheets, and also the tissue has alteration lines printed on it, so it's a package.
So from a sewer's perspective, you've incorporated that into the design.
Exactly.
You gave the ideas, and then show how it comes back to you, because I think that's interesting.
Well, another idea that I had because of teaching fit, we train teachers
Right.
all over the world to teach fit, and they need tools. And so McCall's has been great working with us on the tools. And this is just a simple little blouse with a beautiful wing collar, just a cut-on collar, so it's easy, and has darts. And if you're going to learn to fit a full bust, that's easier than princess.
Sure.
So I said, well, this is what I would like, and it would be a good thing to build a teaching class on. So this ended up being the pattern, and I think you have the
Yes.
blouse right there. And so this is the teaching pattern. And the darts can be left out if they don't need darts. They can be made thinner if they want essence of dart because they don't have a waist.
Sure.
You know?
And when Patty presents an idea to McCall's or to a pattern design
Yes.
company, you do some sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Hand sketches.
and it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to be an artist, but
No,
you
don't.
and with ideas and tips, and I have done this myself with the
Yes.
pattern companies and do the same way, and it's good to see that You do it the same way I did it.
Good. But it gets prettier.
Yes, and then it goes through stages. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah.
And then they come back with color combinations to use, style.
And they'll send me a muslin and all the pattern pieces, and then from that I will write the actual instructions for the guide sheet. Then I send those in, which are very rough, and then what they do is make the art prettier,
Sure.
and then I can have a chance to edit the guide sheet.
It's multi-phased. It is for the consumer, the person that's going to sew. One of the great things about an event like this is that we get feedback.
We do.
And people tell us, could I have this? I don't understand that. How do you feel about that?
I love it when they come and say, would you do this? I would like, in fact, I was trying to think of something that happened at this show. Somebody said, I want a raglan sleeve blouse pattern. And I said, well, let's ponder that one because we do. It soaks, sinks in and you think about it.
So with the community of sewing at an event like this, we bring everyone together. And that's the beauty of attending a show. None of us could sew or quilt if we didn't have fabric. And fabric designers are a big part of the sewing community. And with me today is Tula Pink, author of 2 great books and also many fabric lines. Welcome back to Sewing with Nancy, Tula.
Thank you. Love to be here anytime.
Now, Tula, I know you first and foremost as a fabric designer. And tell our viewers how long you've been designing fabric.
Well, I've been designing fabrics for about 6 years now, and it really came out of my love of just drawing. I'm an epic doodler, so it was easy to go from that to fabric.
And you doodle on paper as well as on the computer?
I do. All of my fabrics are drawn first primarily just straight pencil and paper, the way it's always been done. I learned how to design fabric essentially from historical books on fabric design. So I very much do it in a traditional way. And I work out all the repeats on paper, and then I take that into a digital format to make it ready for production.
And many of your prints are very detailed, ornate, and to figure out the reprint. Now, explain that to our viewers, because that is a part that I designed fabric once or twice. I didn't do a very good job of it to get the repeats so it wasn't off.
Well, and really, if you look at my first fabric lines, the repeats were very much sort of stamp and move, and move. And then over the years, I've gotten better and more intricate and
to merge things
together.
together.
And it's really essentially just like making tessellations like we learned
Sure.
in elementary school.
Yes.
I basically just applied the same philosophy of tessellations into making repeats. So
That's fascinating. Let's look at one of your new lines, and this has many coordinates and several color waves as well.
Yeah.
Do you try to work with a certain number of coordinates?
I do. I try to, I'm a quilter at heart. That's where my love is. That's where my passion is. So I want to make sure that for my own projects, when I design a fabric line, that's the fabric I'm working with for the next 6 months.
Sure.
And so I want to make sure I have everything I need, from a big bold print to smaller prints to maybe some more, background prints that have a little bit of interest. I want to make sure I have something in there that would make a great binding. And so I'm always looking for that special fabric that can be versatile but is also really fun just on the bolts.
Where do you get all your inspirations?
I had a really great teacher when I was in college who said, the first thing you have to do is get over the fear of ideas. Once you're not afraid to come up with ideas, then ideas don't control you anymore. So
that's a good
brilliant,
advice.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's always stuck with me. So I go through, before I land on my good idea, I'll go through 50 really terrible ideas. And
I can relate to that. The dart sticks to the board 1 in 10 for me.
Right, yeah, and that's, I think that's everybody. And once I give myself permission to have a bad idea is when the good ideas come. So
I think we should do that for quilters and sewers alike. Give ourselves permission to
make a mistake, to mess up, to not be perfect all the time. I think I try to apply that to everything, because once you give yourself the freedom to fail, you do it far less, actually.
What good advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Tula, I'm inspired by the way you work.
Thank you.
And you have a great term, naturally organic.
Yes.
Is that correct? Did I quote you
I
correct?
use that a lot. I like to try and keep things as organic as possible. You know, it's along the same lines of permission to fail.
Sure.
You also have to let yourself move and work in the way that you move and work. And I really admire people who work in a different way, but I know what I do and I know how I move and how that works, and that applies to everything from drawing to sewing.
Well, Tula, it's always a treat to see you. I get inspired by your work.
Thank
I
you.
love-
Likewise.
And we'll look forward to having you again on Sewing with Nancy.
Absolutely.
And Tula is just one of the many fabric designers that is around the country, and now you know a little bit behind the scenes. In the community of sewing, there are the pattern manufacturers, and with me is Kathy Marone, who is the editor of Vogue Patterns magazine. And Kathy, this is your first time at the Sewing and Stitchery Expo.
It's my first time here as an exhibitor. I've been here many times before,
That's right.
but it is our first time here, and it's been wonderful meeting all the people that are here.
And what's the reason for exhibiting?
Well, people may think we came to sell patterns, but we really didn't. We actually came here to talk to the consumer because our management felt that there's no better way to find out how to improve our product than to talk directly to the people who are buying it.
What a community thing to build a relationship.
And we've been actually doing a little survey in our booth.
Okay.
We've been asking people to take a survey, 9 short questions about their sewing habits, how they learned. And the big question is, if you ran the pattern company, what would you change about the pattern company? So it's been really fun to hear what people have to say.
What's the most interesting comment you received back that you're going to take home with you?
Well, the big thing is fit. People are always very interested in fit, and we discovered that there's kind of 2 groups of people. And the older sewer who's been sewing for a number of years and was taught by their mother,
Sure.
They don't have a problem with our fit because they learned and they know how to do it. But newer,
Like
younger,
measuring
right,
and so forth.
measuring. The younger sewer isn't as familiar, and they're used to ready-to-wear sizing.
Aha.
So they'll say, "Oh, I wear a size 10, so I must take a size 10 pattern," and we all know that's not true.
Sure.
So they have to measure and be re-educated. But it's good to know that because then we know how to address those problems.
Perfect give and take situation.
Absolutely.
And do you get a little shot of adrenaline when you're here?
Oh, it's been wonderful. Just talking to people all the time. We've made so many friends here. It really
That's a community,
It
right?
is. It's a very big community. And a woman came to us yesterday, and she came in and we were all talking to different people, and she said, "I didn't realize how tight knit and actually, even though it's a big community, it's a small family community of sewing."
Well, isn't that warm and
It's been wonderful. All the people have been coming in and just shopping around and asking questions about the different patterns. We have lots of garments here
Sure.
we're showing, and it's just been great.
Well, Kathy, thanks for enlightening us and sharing with us from a manufacturer's point of view.
Thank you.
And that's another part of the community of sewing. An important part about the stitching community are the teachers of sewing and quilting. And with us today is Candace Jewett from Puyallup, Washington, and welcome to Sewing with Nancy.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
And you've been teaching for a while.
Since the late 80s. I'm not sure I want to add up how many years that is.
That's
but-
okay. We don't have to do that.
Okay, good.
And tell our viewers why you teach, because You could have other jobs, but you're a teacher of sewing and quilting.
Number one, I love the people, and I love sharing my passion with sewing, and particularly now with sergers. I've seen a move toward people who want to learn more about sergers, and they know they do more than just overlock edges, but they don't quite know how to go about that. And so that's my passion and my goal, to help them learn all of the other things they do.
When we were talking earlier, you mentioned that your goal is to get them to say a couple of words about a serger.
Yes, I'd like to hear them say fun and serger in the same sentence.
And I'm sure they do after taking your classes, Candace.
Most of them do, yes.
And when you teach serging, you show that it's just not for finishing edges. Now, there's a project behind us, and that's one of the classes that you teach. It's a great roll-up placemat. And
Yes.
you know, a lot of people just finish edges, like on this napkin.
Yes, and the napkin, the three-thread rolled edge is a classic. It works really well, but sergers do so much more. We've used the chain stitch option to do a deco chain quilting. A lot of people don't know that you can do that. We've also used fusible thread in the lower looper, so that we've got an easy way to put the binding on.
So binding, fusible thread, great projects combined. And then the roll-up part is functional because of the ties.
Yes, the ties were done with the belt loop binder foot, and it's got the cover stitch on it, so the fabric is rolled over, top stitched and overlocked on the raw edge at the same time, allowing that placemat to be rolled up, tied, and tucked into a picnic basket or on your buffet table.
You know, a lot of people say to me, especially at this show, that they have enjoyed recent programs we've had on serging, but the next step is to take a class to really learn how to use whatever serger you have to its fullest potential.
Absolutely. Most people will, when they take their classes as to how to use their serger, the little squares that we all do are great.
Sure.
But you don't retain that the way you do if you do an absolute project start to finish in the class.
And part of the sewing community. And you even teach young kids working with sergers. They're fearless, I'm sure.
Oh, they are, absolutely.
Let's take a look.
Well, one of these is a little bag, a design that I use a lot when I'm traveling. But we've actually put the zipper in with the serger, and it gives a clean finish on your edges, so no more snagging threads in the zipper. It's easier actually to put in, and as you know, there are so many new zippers out with neon coils, rhinestones.
Right.
This is a perfect application for that. They can put their iPads or e-readers in the back. It works really well.
Quick project, you get great satisfaction because you've made something start to finish, and it's all because of a teacher.
Thank you.
Well, Candace, I want to thank you for being our guest on Sewing with Nancy and for working with the whole community of sewing and quilting by being a teacher. Keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you so much.
I am Stacy Halverson. This is our friend Tina Torrey, my mother Kathy Ackley, my daughter Brittany Revel, and my aunt Debbie Wilson.
Oh, it was started at the Tacoma Dome. It was pretty cold. It was very small. When you wanted to take a class, you just got in line. They handed you a ticket and you got in. You went in and sat down and took the ticket. There were very few vendors, and that was the first time we met Nancy, was in 1986 at our first expo. We bought some stuff, bought a book and had her sign it. And we've seen her every year that she's been here since then.
I started coming in 1998 when I met Debbie, and she started bringing me here.
I started coming in 2003.
And I started in 2005.
We don't let children come until they're old enough to behave themselves.
We started making the vest as a symbol of how many years we have been coming. And every year we add the year we're going to be here to the vest.
Tina and Debbie have their RVs, and I have a little travel trailer that I park next to them. And we stay in the RV lots behind the fairground. So yesterday was our red shirt day, and we wore our jackets that we made. My daughter and I took all 3 of our classes that we wanted to do yesterday and then did a little bit of shopping. And then
I had a class, 2 classes yesterday, and then I have 1 class today and 1 class tomorrow.
And my classes are all today.
In my classes, I took 2 yesterday, I've got 2 today, and I took tomorrow off just to spend money.
Yeah, Saturday's usually our shopping day.
And then Sunday we do a little bit of shopping for our next year's project that we all agree on. And then we come back and we pack up and we head on.
If people have classes, then we'll just do whatever we want, and then after everyone's done with classes, we'll meet up, we'll do lunch here, and then we'll go off and do our shopping again.
We started out with walkie-talkies to keep track of each other. Now everybody has cell phones, so we usually text, say, where are you, let's meet.
The problem with our group is when somebody gets something, everybody else has to get it. So it's kind of like the build is, you get this, the other person gets this, so you got to get that, but then they get something else, and it's kind of a fun little rivalry.
There's also a rivalry on who got it the cheapest.
Yeah. Yes.
As you know, throughout this TV show, we've been at the Sewing and Stitching Expo, but it just doesn't happen by chance. I'd like to introduce you to the director and founder of the Expo, Joanne Ross. Joanne,
hi, Nancy.
Good to interview you on Sewing with Nancy.
Well, I'm glad that you came to the Expo and that you're doing the show here, and we're just really excited about it.
Congratulations on 30 years of putting on this event.
Thank you very much.
And I know a big team puts it together, but you had the vision to do that.
Well, a lot of years ago, when I was a lot younger, we did have a vision, and mainly it came from the point of education. That's our main goal. And when I was working for the university, I wanted to do something that would bring education for women here in the sewing industry.
And you've done that, and it's exciting. It's the feeling around me is contagious. I want to sew.
Well, good.
And what has been the greatest takeaway that you've had, or that you've appreciated or excited you about putting on this event?
Well, I think the fact that so many women have come here and they feel this sisterhood in the world of sewing. And the other part of it, of course, as I mentioned before, is education, because I think that without that, this show would not be what it is today.
How many educational venues do you have?
We have approximately 88 seminars every day.
Every day.
And we have another 7 or 8 events going on, from style shows to special events. So, yeah, a lot of teachers, a lot of good education.
And once people know how to sew or quilt, then they just teach others, as we found out, and it expands.
They do. In fact, we started this show with a group of volunteers. We had over 200 volunteers in the beginning.
And they're called?
And they're called Clothing and Textile Advisors.
Yes,
and they were really the ones that got me started to do this. They came to me and said, why can't we have the experts in the industry come to Puyallup? And I said, we can, but we have to find out a way to pay for it.
Sure.
And we invented the show. And so the volunteers then in the off season, when the show's not on, are out teaching others to sew, and especially kids.
What a wonderful way to expand the community, the community of sewing.
Wow.
So another 30 years?
Well, I don't know if it'll be another 30 years, but it may be.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll be involved in that, but
and I'm not going to either 30 years from now, but we hope that the community of sewing expands and grows. Well, Joanne, this has been delightful. It's been great to be here and to be educated, because I take classes too, and to teach, which I have done the last 2 days, and to have you as part of Sewing with Nancy.
Nancy, we're very glad that you're here, and over the years it's been a good relationship, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, thanks so much for being our guest. And thank you for being part of this Sewing with Nancy on the Road, stitching a sewing community together. Remember that you can see all things Sewing with Nancy at nancyzieman.com. You can rewatch my program or any of the 70+ shows that are online. You can tune into my blog or follow me on the social media areas. And as I close every program of Sewing with Nancy, and I say, thanks for joining me. Bye for now.
Nancy's autobiography seems unlikely, includes behind-the-scenes insights to Sewing with Nancy, plus details of the challenges she's faced in life. TV's most recognized sewing teacher gives encouragement to pursue your dreams. The autographed book is $12.99 plus shipping and handling. To order the book, call 800-336-8373 or visit our website at sewingwithnancy.com/2815. Order item number BK2726. Seems unlikely. To pay by check or money order, call the number on the screen for details. Visit Nancy's website at nancyzieman.com to see additional episodes, Nancy's blog, and more. Sewing with Nancy, TV's longest-airing sewing and quilting program with Nancy Zieman, has been brought to you by Baby Lock, Madeira Threads, Koala Studios, Clover, Amazing Designs, and Class A Needles. Closed captioning funding provided by Pellon. Sewing with Nancy is a co-production of Nancy Zieman Productions and Wisconsin Public Television.